Hi, Majesties. Trust you and yours are well. Welcome back to another quick one. It was circulating recently, just some days ago on the internet, that there was a coup in Ivory Coast and that Ibrahim Traore orchestrated. He was the one that prepared people to go overthrow Ouattara. We're talking about the betrayal of Al Hassan. And this is exactly what they want to do, just to turn the whole story so that they can say, of course, it's not true. It's not true. And that was why I didn't talk about it. Thank you to my queen. Always. Thank you so much. She was like, Abigail, I hope you've not talked about this. I'm like, no, I'm not sure of that story itself. So I think it's just the plan, the tactics of these people, just to, because of course I told you that everything about Ibrahim was AI generated and that they are not true. So they've orchestrated something, they've started a story, and they try to propagate the story so that people will follow the story, and later on they'll come out and say, okay, this is not true. Of course, the story is not true. So there was something I saw recently, and I want to share that with you. I'm going to share where the source of the information as well. I just love some of the documentation, and that's why I brought you here. So listen carefully to this. It is said that the court of Saint Traore, that was what drew my attention. I believe that's what drew your attention here. So let's delve into the court of Saint Traore, Your Majesties. The cult of Saint Traore, how a Russia-backed junta leader became an icon. This is from the Financial Times. You can go to their website at www.ft.com. That's financialtimes.com. So it was the headings that drew my attention, and I tell you, you would regret listening to this piece, Your Majesties. And this is from Anu Adeoye in Lagos, and it was published some hours ago. Okay, it goes. God protect Ibrahim Traore, croons starry-eyed American R&B singer R. Kelly over footage of the 37-year-old military leader of Burkina Faso leading troops into battle and marching through adoring crowds. He is the voice of the people. The video, which has garnered nearly 2 million views, is an obvious AI-generated fake. Kelly is serving a prison sentence for sex trafficking, but it is part of a proliferation of real and imagined tribute to Traore, who, since taking power in 2022 coup, had been transformed from an obscure military officer to an anti-Western icon on the continent of Africa. In office, Traore has launched anti-corruption drives, sought to wrest greater control of Burkina Faso's mineral riches from global mining companies and relying away from former colonial ruler France and towards Russia. This helped by the photogenic junta leader's distinctive red beret and military fatigue had carried well beyond the borders of the country of 23 million people. It has been tapped into a well of frustration among Africans, fed up with rampant violence, dysfunctional democratic system, and Western meddling. There is the beatification of Traore, the cult of Saint Traore. Ebenezer Obadari, a senior fellow for Africa Study at the Council on Foreign Relations, said, in recent weeks, widely shared images on TikTok and other social media platforms include a real photo of Traore playing football. Another debunked post celebrates his construction of a low-cost housing project. The site is actually in Algeria. Former UK MP George Galloway had repeatedly praised him, and earlier this month claimed France and the US were clearly committed to killing Traore. Mind you, the housing project is real. There is a housing project going on in Burkina Faso. People love him, said Jean, a 30-something resident of Burkina Faso's capital, Ouagadougou, where thousands rallied in Traore support last month after a U.S. military official accused him of corruption, that is Michael Langley, and the junta said it foiled a major coup attempt. His He's saying things about independence from France and greater control. People like hearing that. David Hyundein, a Nigerian journalist who has posted positively about Traore on social media to his more than 1 million followers, said he supported what he described as Traore's ideology of economic self-reliance and anti-imperialism. Hyundein said similar policies would help address problems in countries, including his own, where democracy was far from the gold standard. I do not believe that Nigeria is a more democratic place or a better place to live in than Burkina Faso, he said. They are both awful places to live in, but I feel the primary economic and political issues is being addressed in Burkina Faso. The offensive online praise has helped obscure Traore's checked record in Burkina Faso, which has become the epicenter of the security crisis in West Africa and where the government controls less than half of its territory. Traore has been accused of building a personality cult, and his government has clamped down on the press, civil society, and political opponents, even conscripting dissidents, including doctor and prominent critic Sievars Obadare argued that while many Africans are rightly frustrated by the liturgy of the continent's democratic system, Traore's emerging popularity was far more sinister. There is this knee-jerk and robotic anti-Westernism that means once someone shows up to say they hate the West, we automatically believe in that person. Patrick Gathara, a public intellectual in Kenya, where Traore has also become a minor cause celebrity, said, "There is a romanticization of what he's doing, but we've seen where military takeovers take countries, and I'm not convinced this is going to abode well." Traore, a former special force official, came to power alongside military leaders in Mali and Niger in a wave of coups in the Sahel, the semi-arid strip south of the Sahara, promising to restore security in countries that are racked by Islamist and sectarian violence. Mali's leader Assimi Goïta has won similar acclaim from some African intellectuals and personalities who say they admire him for expelling French troops and standing up to international mining companies. The French themselves have contributed to the decline of their influence because they have a paternalistic view of our relationship. Traore, who styled himself after 20th century Burkinabe revolutionary leader Thomas Sankara, told Russian media this month. Traore had found a ready ally in Russia. Moscow reopened its embassy in Burkina Faso in 2023 after a 31-year absence following the fall of the Soviet Union. While Russian paramilitary group Bear Brigade spent months in the country last year guarding Junta officials, including Traore. Russia is holding up Traore as the second coming of Thomas Sankara, the former leader, who was assassinated in 1987. He said, not because they genuinely think there is anything to him in terms of ideology and good governance, but because they want to undermine democracy, Western values, France and West and the United States. Yet, Cheta Nwanze, partner at Lagos-based constituency SBM Intelligence, said it would be a mistake to underestimate the genuine support for Traore among Africans. Western support for long-time authoritarian leaders such as Uganda's Yoweri Museveni and Rwanda's Paul Kagame is regarded as a double standard at odds with the West's stated commitment to democratic ideals, he said. Let's say there is some sort of Russian involvement. What makes that such a terrible thing, he asked, for those who oppose him. Ibrahim Traore could heal the sick, raise the dead, and make every woman in Burkina Faso happy. It wouldn't make any difference. And this is from Sri Lanka Guardian. It says the heading says Traore, how a Junta leader became an icon amid anti-Western sentiments. It went further to explain that Captain Ibrahim Traore, the 37-year-old military leader of Burkina Faso, had become an unlikely and polarizing symbol of resistance against Western influence and democratic dysfunction across parts of Africa. It says that according to the recent debt report by the Financial Times, that his meteoric rise from obscure soldier to revolutionary icon is fueled as much by AI-generated myth as it is by real political maneuvers. An icon shaped by AI and anger. A recent AI-generated video circulating on social media features a digitally fabricated rendition of American R&B artist R. Kelly crooning God Protect Ibrahim Traore while showing scenes of the junta leader marching with troops. Though clearly fake, Kelly is currently serving a prison sentence. The video has garnered nearly 2 million views, capturing emotional fervor surrounding Traore's image. Russia's embrace and West Africa's frustration. Traore's anti-Western rhetorics and strategic courtship to Moscow have won high-level attention. Russian President Vladimir Putin hosted him at the Kremlin, and the Russian paramilitary forces, namely the Bear Brigade, have been documented guarding Burkinabe officials. Russia also reopened its embassy in Ouagadougou in 2023 after a 3-decade absence. This is just reporting on what the Financial Times reported about Burkina Faso and Ibrahim Traore as the voice of the people and other things that surround the situation in Burkina Faso and the person of Ibrahim Traore. In recent interview with Russian media, Traore said France's waning influence in the region stemmed from its paternalistic approach. His rhetoric resonates with many young Africans weary of external influence and the hollow democratic promises. What do you think about this reporting, to your majesties? Leave your thoughts and opinion there at the section. I'm going to see you in my next one. Until then, love yourself, love others, stay safe, stay positive, always, your majesties. Bye for now.
I think they haven't done Can you want to impose democracy by killing millions of people? That's dictatorship, that's not democracy. It can't be imposed. Those who call themselves Democrats. But look, we've seen scenes where people were prevented from entering assemblies. We've seen scenes where forces stormed into assemblies to force the deputies to pass legislation. We've seen scenes worse than that, where people kill their protesters, yet they call themselves Democrats, and we are labeled as coup plotters. If this is democracy, I repeat, we do not want this democracy. And when you often see the incompetent, they don't seek to understand what the word democracy really means. They just cling to the definition he gave imperialism, and they start talking of democracy without really knowing the foundation. That's incompetence. We need to seek knowledge to understand to look at the world in order to redefine democracy the way we want it in Africa.